So let's now work on the post detail page where we display a single post. For this, we again add a template, and I'll name it post-detail.html. And this template will also be based on our base template. So of course, we'll extend base.html like this. And we're also going to use some static content here, so I can already load static. Now, just as on all posts and on index, we'll have our title, we'll have our CSS files, and we'll have some content. So we can copy all that code here and add this here. Set the title now to this post title, and we should add the actual post title later then, once we generate this really dynamically. And of course, for the styles, we also don't need these two imports, but we'll fix this later. We should also add endblock here and now work on the markup for this page. And here, the markup will be fairly trivial, actually. I, in the end, just want to have a section here. And this section will have an idea of summary. And that will basically show the post title and the image again, and the author and the day when this post was published. And therefore here, I'll just add a h2 tag where I say post title, and that will be replaced with the actual post title soon. And then in there, we can add an article where we in the end add the image again to this post, and some alt text, of course, like this, and where we then also have an address, let's say, like this, where we just mention the author by Maximilian, and where we then have a div like this, and in that div, I'll just say last updated on, and then we have the time tag here, and in there we say something like July 10th. And of course, the goal will be to plug in the real data soon. Now that's this first section. Below that, I want to have a main section with the main content, and that of course will be the article itself. And therefore here I'll keep this very simple. I'll just add a couple of dummy paragraphs for the moment, where I'll output some dummy text, and in Visual Studio Code you can just type lorem here, and you should get this suggestion to automatically create some dummy placeholder text. And I'll add a couple of those paragraphs here. So with that, this is already it. Of course, there is missing data, for example, the image, but we'll get there. For the moment, of course, we can again use static here and then include our image, which we find in blog images, and then use mountains JPEG again, for example. And because I pressed auto formatting, because I pressed this shortcut, this all got destroyed, unfortunately, here. So I'll quickly fix this again, like this, and also up here, of course. That is really annoying. Okay, so now this is all fixed, and now we got this content finished here. Now, we can already go to this page. I also want to make sure that it looks right from the start, so therefore I want to work on those style sheet imports, and of course it shouldn't be a surprise that attached you find a post detail CSS file, which you can copy into your static block folder. Here we have all the styles for this post detail page, and in the post detail HTML file, we therefore now only need one CSS import, and that is the post-detail CSS file. With that, we now just need to work on the view. And there we want to make sure that for post detail, we render this template so that we return render, forward the request, and then render blog post-detail HTML. Now here, to make this work, we also need to make sure that this function accepts this slug parameter. Because this is a dynamic URL, a URL with a dynamic segment with a name of slug, because of that, Django will pass in this concrete value for which this view is then visited into the view function, and it will use this name as a parameter name. So we should accept slug here. With that, if we save all files and click on that post, here is that post being loaded. So that's not looking too bad. Let me zoom out a bit. That's not looking too bad. This is all working now. I'm really liking this. Now, of course, I want to make sure that not all the data is hard-coded in the templates, but that instead we have some dummy data in the view for now. Later in the course, that data will be coming from a database.